Mary, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the morning show.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
So,
the way you are calling Ruben,
yes,
it's like you were at my naming ceremony when I was born many years ago. But carry on. What's this?
My people, hey, now through they say wonder shall never end. Dr. Abati, he don't buy market though. Hey, he don't buy waiting person. That's what I talk. My people, no be smart, you know. But truth be told, hey, Mr. Abati or Dr. Abati, it will go far. It will go far. It will go far on this one. That's what I talk. It will go far for that statement. They know they talk like that. And one thing about Nigerians be say, hey, until we leave all this one, na Igbo, this one, na Yoruba, this one, na Hausa, na that country go get head. If not, we go nowhere. Yes. I see Nigeria no moving forward, my people. Yes, that's what I talk. And again, Mr. Abati, or Dr. Abati, because if you no see address am with doctor, hey, Mr. Abati, if you come for me, anyways, I just a joke. I beg me, not tell anybody. It be like say that man gets anger issue. He need to visit anger management. If not, my people, una go just say and say Dr. Abati rushing people. On national TV one day, my people, because this is not his first time. Yes. When I dey see this man, where he go open his eyes like this for his colleague, I go come dey ask myself, say, she not be the same work all of them they do. I be they tell and say in your own rank, he pass the other people for there. Now that one I don't understand. We be say every time Mr. Abati go just the open eyes for them. Bye. I beg, make it calm down. They don't they demand for respect. I be, you know, say the way they do all the time, they open eyes on them every day. It go make them see and finish. Nigerian self now, they don't they see you finish, Mr. Abati. Yeah, now try they respect on yourself. Everything respect. Now the respect now he carry out for the level where we did now for Nigeria. Everything now respect.
Prof,
you don't demand for it.
Will be
you
to
it. I be not be so that they talk.
Give your candid opinion on the subject matter, which of course will be the land identity as it connects with Igbo culture, using issues at hand as context. And the context, as you know,
as the anchor.
Well, there are two issues here. First will be what the late elder statesman who was, a one-time information minister, T.O.S. Benson, said at a public forum quite a while ago about the fact that is neither his wife nor his daughter, his wife, of course, who is Igbo, and the daughter who will be half Igbo and half Yoruba, that he was unable to get a landed property for them in Igbo land because his in-laws informed him that they do not sell land to outsiders. And you know that was the context in which our own Dr. Ruben Abati, made reference to how industrious and how mobile the Igbo people can be, but when it comes to their own territory, it looks that they are always pretty reluctant in yielding landed property to outsiders. So two things here. Is this a case of a truth conveyed in a manner that was uncomfortable to a number of people, or there's no fact around this subject matter at all? Whichever way you look at it, how will you describe what T.O.S. Benson said at the time that he did, knowing that he was not a flippant person, knowing that it affected his family, and knowing that it's still, a subject matter that a lot of people are still talking about today? What are your thoughts on this very naughty debate?
Well, I'll begin by contextualizing Ruben's observations. Then I'll touch on T.O.S. Benson himself, some other statements and activities associated with him in connection with land. Then I'll raise core issues about why it is not always easy to get land in some areas, and what those of us who are actually from the Southeast, the challenge we have among ourselves about land, beginning with Reuben. Yes, like you said, he started by pointing out some good things about the people from that part of the country. Then he made a reference to the comments of T.O.S. Benson. Reuben was not speaking as Reuben Abati. It was reported speech. In other words, he was telling us what he heard. That's number one. Number two, there's then the perception, okay, if a man as Benson would say this, there's also the possibility that this is factually correct. But that's if what Benson said. You've said he's not a flippant person. That is correct. But what if in that instance, actually, the statement is not correct? And I asked that question knowing for a fact T.O.S. Benson's in-laws are Mbiri people. That's the place of the former Minister of Education, Obaji. The husband, Sam, we spoke about some of these things. He is their in-law. He was their in-law. Now, when I marry your daughter and I come to you for land, should you look at me as a possible source of income, or should you consider the fact that my daughter is in your custody? In fact, rather than sell land to you, I'll give one to you. The closer my daughter is, the easier it is for me to be sure she's being well taken care of. So for the record and for all of us, Mbiri people gave land, donated land to Chief Benson at Mbiri, which he used, in fact, at his own discretion to construct a post office for the people. And the structure is still there. So recontextualization, Reuben did not set out to misinform anybody by the statement he made, but he was correctly quoting Chief Benson. Now, so let us also get it to that point. And then when the altercation, if you like that expression, between him and his colleague, brilliant presenter, the young lady, remember he said, in a bit of anger, which was a little too heated, that if others, apparently he has some other sources, and if others have, let them present anthropological evidence. Now, the point there is this. You can carry out a research on the behavior of Gwagwalada people. That research will require field work. The result you get will depend on whom you interviewed. And if later I read that work, I'll say, oh, Gwagwalada people had this. Yes, I was in charge of Tambuwal's campaign for 8%, showing that Nigerians wanted him to be president. I told him, Your Excellency, this is a non-starter. He said, how? Delegate elections is not a popular election. So a poll among people in the street, heaven knows who they are, and you come to say, which Nigerians? So you get the point that even where you have anthropological evidence of this sort, secured through polls and research and questionnaires, it doesn't guarantee anything. Why I take this trajectory is for us not to. There's what you call reported speech. In interpretative writing, when I make a statement and you say, okay, Ikechukwe said, you're conveying what I said. If I now say, okay, Ikechukwe said, and I agree, I'm endorsing, I'm taking ownership. So having contextualized it from the origin of the expression itself, that it was a narrated story, I've also presented counterfactual that the man actually has land donated to him. I will add that the former director of works at the Federal University of Technology in Owerri has land in Owerri that he bought. That's where he lives. He's a farmer today. If you go to Owerri, you have the Rotibi Street off Douglas Road. That street is named after a Yoruba man who back then bought practically the entire area, was a great entrepreneur. Those the Igbo people who own lands in those areas bought it from him. Then, of course, you recall that Umoru Atine Alaji was a mayor of Enugu sometime in the 60s, or was it 50s now? He was also in charge of land allocation. Igbos didn't meet and sell him, don't sell to outsiders. If you go to Enugu today, the one area, Garki area, people from all over the country have land there. So there's, I think even for me personally, when I watched the controversy, I said, thank you, Reuben, because this has thrown up a matter on which there should be national discourse. More people will gain information and will all be the better for it. That's the essential point. The second one is about land generally. Why would anybody, you say, but if you go to the East, you don't have too many people who are not Easterners who have land. And the question is, why is it that people have land elsewhere? Because there's business elsewhere. Tell me, what federal establishments do you have in Enugu, in all over the Southeast, that will make me leave my place in Yoruba land to come and buy land? Is it to be a villager? So we must also see the connection between national infrastructure, national institutions, national political headquarters, etc., The limited absence of that in the southeast makes the land there totally unattractive for anybody to procure. Why are Igbos buying up lands in Lagos? Because they need it. And I speak from some involvement in what's going on at that area of business. Little Road used to be made up of a couple of tiny bungalows. The same with Enowa Street. Go to Enowa today, there's no building there that's less than 2-story buildings. Check the history, you'll find out that it was the traders who went to negotiate with most of the people. Allow me build a 2-story building here. I will use it for warehousing. You live in part of it. After 10 years, it becomes yours, and I begin to rent. And I speak because I know those who did that, some of them who were direct relations. That's how most of those places got built up. You may also recall that Ndubisi Kano, an Igbo man at a point he was governor, actually met with the people, called them to a meeting and said, stop selling land. Do leases. Make this arrangement. That's when this alternative thing came up. Now, an Igbo man will not go to nowhere and build a 2-story building to store his things because there's no port near him. He'll be throwing his money away. So all of that, you can take it into account. Why would I leave Kano to come and buy land in Imo State or in Anambra State? Am I on drugs? There is nothing going on in those places. So the political economy of the Nigerian state is also partly responsible for the things we are blaming on other things. Now, putting all of that aside even, let's pretend all of this doesn't exist. National infrastructure. The rail system of any nation is at the arteries of that country. Do you have rail in Nigeria? Yes. Do you have it in the southeast? No. Did you used to have it in the southeast? Yes. How did some of us know places like Saminaka, Kajuru, Lafia, etc.? It was because we traveled by road. You don't have that anymore. And so, putting that aside as well, let's come to the issue of land. You say, oh, you know, land holding system. No, I'm not going to talk about land holding system, but I'm going to talk about personal experience. The southeast is land choked. The land is not available. You go to most places in the southeast, you find that people bury in their compounds. My parents are no more. One of my sisters is no more. They are buried in the old family compound. My cousin Ide has a section of his land he uses for that. So there are other things to be understood. First, the land is not available. Where is available and you want to buy it, you buy. Go to Onitsha. Onitsha Business School is owned by Shogbeson. Professor Shogbeson is a Yoruba man. He started it in 2010. So it's not like saying, oh, it's only in the 60s, you know. These days, they are not doing it. Today, it is thriving as one of the best business schools, working with the people. Last week, I went there to give the keynote address on innovative entrepreneurship for under 45s. Most of those who came were the people in the environment. You wouldn't know he doesn't belong there. So, in essence, taking it, in that trajectory, what has emerged is a perception that was fueled or is being fueled by people who talk about it. Reuben diligently acknowledged the virtues of the Igbos he knew. Put a however based on a story by Chief Benson. Looking back at it, I don't know whether Chief Benson meant it in jest, but the fact that he has land actually donated to him by Imbiri people, who are now, right now, in fact, I understand, very, very angry about all of this, that they are being misrepresented, where he went out of his way to build them a post of cultural practice.
Well, Prof.
That your in-law wants land near you.
Prof, sir, if I may cut in quickly,
I'm here.
On the Imbiri part that you mentioned, and the post office that the late Thomas Benson built. Was that his intention? I think that the speech that he gave in Lagos had to do with the fact that he wanted to buy a parcel of land for his wife and for his daughter. You have, clarified that he got a donation of a land, from his in-laws. That would certainly be correct, given the context that you have given to it. But for the land that he wanted to buy for his wife and for his daughter, do we have any contrary opinion against what he has said and the fact that he was unable to do that?
Okay, let me...
Yes, go on, sir, go on.
I have no interest in defending either Benson or Imbiri people or Reuben. I'm concerned to see if we can be objective in understanding all of this. Chief Benson is not here to be interrogated, so we can't say for sure to what extent all of this, his own reaction. Why would you donate land to a man you refuse to sell land to? At the time he was buying bricks to build, did he write "I'm building a post office"? In fact, if you refuse to sell land to him, that's the more reason why you will not donate land to him. If it's what he wants to do with it is not right. People don't understand the relationship. Remember, Chief Benson lived in Port Harcourt for part of his life. The father of his wife, the late Chinyere, also lived in Port Harcourt. That's how the relationship began. One basic thing about the people, he was one of their most loved friends. And I use the word friend consciously because the entire people held him as one of their own. So the land, so to now say, oh, you know, they donated land to him to build post office, but they didn't sell land to him to build a house. Let's recontextualize it. A good in-law. He comes to buy land, you say to Fiakwa, it's abomination.
Professor,
we are
I'd
donating
like
land to you. And they gave him a piece of land.
I'd like to ask a question, particularly when it comes to land and inheriting, because I want to ask, does this have to do with it being for a woman, his wife, or for his daughter? Because I know just not long ago in Igbo land, women couldn't inherit from their fathers in some places. So could this have to do with gender? Do we have different views on what women can own in different parts of the country?
No. The question of gender is practically global, African and Nigerian. There's a tendency to treat the female gender as the junior partner or a no partner or as part of the man's property. And the inheritance thing is all over the place and all over the country. So it's not an Igbo thing. Secondly, an Igbo woman can build on his land. Supposing, and this is a cultural thing in the East, you have a man who doesn't have a daughter, and who one of the daughters decides, okay, I want to keep the family name, and she marries a wife in the name of the family, and so she remains, quote unquote, the man in the place. But I want to take it around so that we see this whole thing about inheritance. I'm from the East. I'm the first son of my parents. By a law of inheritance, everything they left belonged to me. But I called a family meeting and said, well, there are 6 of us here. Everything Papa and Mama have left belonged to me. Is there any dispute about that? Everybody said no. I said good. From my own understanding and the spiritual orientation I live by, we are 6. If I'm the most irresponsible among you, nobody will take this from me. I can squash it in 2 weeks. Now, I want it divided into 6. Each person takes his part because we're all equal. He had 6 children. You know, after I said that, a total stranger had said, well, we heard about what you're going to do. Are you also going to give the same to everybody, irrespective of gender? So there are such things. And that's what I did. Split it into 6. Everybody equal component. Somebody proposed, oh, since you maintain some of those things, you know, over the years, and rebuild this one for Papa did this, why don't you take the value? I said, there's no value to a labor of love. The hug, the handshake Papa gave me, I have to return it if I have to take money for what I did. Now, putting all of this aside, the point is this. We are dealing with a controversy that actually does not exist. Reuben was not quoting himself. He didn't say, I hate Igbo people. He was trying to make inferences based on what he had heard and which nobody had contradicted. And Reuben is a scholar. So maybe the anger was like, look, are you querying what I think? It could have been better handled, but the issues are clearly as simple and straightforward as they can be. When you find that Igbo land with very tiny land mass doesn't have too many people there, you must ask yourself a question. Why would anybody come to the Southeast to buy land? Just tell me what business is going on there. Go to the Southeast now and cite any massive industry, whether petrochemical, whether you like it or not, wherever you are in the country, if you're made GM, you'll come. Support services will come, technical people will come. The only thing going on in the Southeast in the name of business is the business of the people. If you go to Ogbomosho, check the population. Is it filled up with outsiders? You find Igbos there because they find trading opportunities. They are traders mostly. So let's not mistake an economically and socio-political determined variable. Let's not take it to be a conscious conspiracy. Why didn't Igbos meet and tell Umoru in Enugu, no, don't allocate land? So let's not delude ourselves. There is no incentive for any Nigerian outside the Southeast to go there and buy land. There's incentive in Abuja, there's incentive all over the place, because if you buy, you make a lot of money with it. El-Rufai came here and told us that the lands in Abuja are 80%, I think at least no less than 65% owned by Igbos. Now, were they buying it to keep? It was business opportunity. The rentals in Lagos, the purchases in Lagos for the same reason. So let's contextualize it properly and end this controversy. Yeah.
Okay, Professor, okay, the incentive in itself might not sometimes be financial, but let's talk about, the Igbo culture. In the Igbo culture, the perception is that land is often seen...
Sorry, please. Sorry.
Yes. I was talking about
before you
I was talking about the incentive. For example, the example that we've touched on quite a number of times this morning about this man trying to buy land for his daughter and his wife. In that moment, might not necessarily have been strictly financial, but trying to actually invest in his family is the point that I'm trying to make. But let's talk about the perception in Igbo culture that land is often seen.
Sorry, please.
Yes,
sorry.
Professor.
Before we run away from that, investment for his daughter and his wife, we must also ask ourselves. Prof. Benson was a very sophisticated man, a businessman, somebody in the entertainment industry. If he wanted to make investment for his daughter and his wife, is it to go and build a house in their village? So we might choose to pursue it, but the fact that there's land donated to him at no cost, for me, given our culture and our attitude to in-laws, your in-law, you handle him as an egg so that he doesn't break the egg you gave to him. That's my perception of that land. That is possibly, at the time he spoke of land, that they said, no, please come, Biko, come and take this one. You're our in-law, you're our brother. That's a possibility I want to look at. The context of his statement, if you had a video, one would have seen whether he was joking or he was laughing or whatever. But he's taken here without the benefit of over 20 years of knowing what happened in that hall. We're seeing it as a statement he solemnly made. I went there to buy land and nobody sold land to me because they said I was an outsider. Who is an outsider?
Well, land in Igbo culture...
So the second point, the issue you wanted to raise about land...
how it's often seen as a communal heritage. How do these debates, especially like the ones that our co-anchors had during the week and the ones that we're having now, impact economic development in the Southeast, especially with respect to investments and partnerships with non-indigens? I wonder if you would suggest any policy or communal adjustments to address these concerns surrounding land sales to non-indigens while also preserving Igbo cultural values?
If I respond to that question in the way you framed it, it will mean admitting there's a policy about selling land to non-indigens. That policy does not exist. That notion does not exist. That attitude does not exist.
If you are to say that kind of thing about Jews in America in a broadcast like that would be termed an anti-Semitic statement that should carry consequences, which means that Reuben Abati had to be made to apologize to Igbos for spreading fake news about the Igbos. Because people say all these things like that on social media, unidentifiable characters. There are people on social media, they are not using their names, nobody knows them. Their names are just like numbers. They spew all those things, feeling that they could not be identified until they commit crime, then they will now know that they could be identified. But what I'm saying, coming from him, he has embarrassed those who gave him that PhD that he values so much. Because they would be embarrassed that he could make such a false generalization that Igbos don't sell land to strangers. Now that takes me to another angle. Now, how many Yorubas are doing business in Southeast or doing any kind of work in the Southeast that include they want to build a house and they say that nobody sold land to them? In the church business, the Yorubas are doing very well. Is there any part of Igbo land that you go to, you will not see Deeper Life Church? They plant church, they have Deeper Life churches everywhere in the Southeast. Because Southeast is the heartland of Igbo land, Igbo people. We know we have pockets of Igbos in rivers, in Delta, and other places. But in the heartland, which is usually the reference point when people spew that kind of lies by Reuben Abati.
Reuben Abati. Yes, Igbos sell land. We sell lands that we bought in the cities. We sell farmlands. But you see that land that is in the village, that is in the compound, family compound, the lands that we inherited from our forefathers, we don't sell them. Let that get
So,
into
my
your
people,
head.
it is what
now.
it is. So, make una not forget to drop on a lovely comment down below. Till I come on our next time. Stay good.